A boy participates in a special ritual where 14-year-old randoms receive abilities from the goddess. And recently, he recovered the memories of the past life. During the ceremony, a priest carries out the ritual, and the child on his knee, waiting for the revelation of the ability he will receive. The ability revealed to him by Esdamar, which allows controlling animals such as horses and pigeons. Zoam colleagues, calling him useless, and his father is surprised, does not accept that someone from the famous sportsman family receives a valuable skill. Questioning how this could happen, the father exploits anger, calls the child pathetic, and unworthy of the name Albion. The brothers do so, saying that the failure of the mold makes life easier for the heir. The child lowers his head, but begins to remember everything from the past life. An old man tries to comfort him, saying that there is always a reason for the ability that one receives. The boy is revealed to be Chelbian, a character from a game he played in the past life. He realizes that he reincarnated as a villain in the story, not as a protagonist. Remember that in the game's plot, S dies at the hands of a tall member of the Demon King's army in the middle of the plot, which worries him about his fate. He thinks that in any route of the game, his fate is death. As he knows the game in depth, he understands that all the way leads to the power he now has. Trying to think calmly, he remembers that the ability of the sea originally served to control farm animals. But in his case, this version is special, and has much greater potential. Hash discovers that his domestication has an even greater power, controlling the monsters. In the past, the original estates used this power cruelly to cause pain. But this corruption was the result of the persecution he suffered, which led him to a dark path. She now understands the potential and danger of her ability. He concludes that due to the immense power of the skill, it will inevitably attract the attention of the Demon King's army. They even try to avoid the signs of death. He knows that in the end his power will be taken, and he will find his end. Determined, he begins to think about how to break this dark fate, and change the decision that he will use the knowledge of the game to become an unbeatable force, capable of overcoming any opponent. Looking confident, he traces his way to rewriting his own history. During a family lunch, this reflects that there was only 1 year left to start the events of the story. Determined to survive, he recognizes that he has a big to-do list to escape death. During a report of the Albion family routine, brothers Edward and Sidward show enthusiasm in training. Father Gad Albin praises their effort, and he Lives, the fourth child, watches in silence while the first wife turns. I belittle her, they call him useless. Still, he remains calm and continues to eat. In the middle of lunch, the brothers hunt butter, suggesting that he becomes an animal or a coachman. The father treats him with contempt and refuses to listen. S keeps the pose, thanks for the food, and decides to leave while the provocations continue. A week after retrieving memories, Est begins to test the rules of the world alone. Confirm that you can't see the status as the game. But he finds that the evolution system works, defeating monsters strengthens the abilities. He continues to gather information to better understand his chances of survival. He discovers that with Omar's ability, he can only summon the monsters that he defeated himself. To face stronger enemies, you need to increase your status and abilities. For this, he adopts a method called midnight training, which he does every day. At the end of the day, he remembers the midnight training system of the game, which allows him to improve attributes on a daily basis. In the real world, he realizes that he has no time restrictions or daily limit. Excited, he understands that he can use this to evolve quickly, without having to kill the monsters all the time. He decides to try magic reinforcement, and to his surprise, he can refine to easy mana. Probably thanks to the gameplay experience. Keep in mind that your physical abilities are far superior to those of the past life. It reflects that in the game the character looked as predicted, but now he understands that the real Hash must have trained hard. Despite initial desperation to receive Omar's ability, during a trip, Est gets close to brothers Edward and Sidward, who continue to tease him about the ability, which involves taming a serving dog. While the brothers are excited about sword training, Est decides not to waste time with distraction and focuses on his own goals. Sidward continues to tease, suggesting that he should specialize in tamers. But Estates is already used to the twins' joke and ignores. Meanwhile, something big catches the attention of the crowd in the garden. Noticing the scene, Est is surprised and observes closely. A young warrior appears with a certain appearance and announces that on that day everyone will push themselves to the limit in order to survive. His posture shows seriousness and confidence, making it clear that the training will be heavy. The warrior reveals that on the way she accidentally caught an earth dragon. Surprising the general, Edward and Sidwar are incredulous, while Est discovers, surprised, that this woman is the teacher of her brothers. The situation shows his immense power. Estates realizes that this woman does not appear in the game, and that this information comes from the memories of the original Mita. Although adventurer ranks are common in the game, seeing her personally impress. Seeing the brothers surprised by the dead dragon, she regrets not being able to receive guidance from someone so powerful. 2 hours later, at the Albion family training camp, the master begins a strict training with fast and precise movements. She puts pressure on Edward Sidvar, who has difficulty accompanying. He firmly questions their performance, and easily defeats both of them, even fighting both of them at the same time. He is impressed when he sends his brothers to get up and continue. The scene looks like an adult dealing with defenseless children, showing the absurd difference in strength. Exhausted and on the edge, Edward and Sidar fall, admitting that they can't take it anymore. The teacher finishes the training satisfied. Los Quedin, relieved to see the end of the session, believes he could strengthen his brothers with training. But he wonders if it was really necessary to push them so hard. After the training, Est realizes that learning real combat skills alone is impossible. He notices that the teacher visits the Albi family once a month to train the brothers and see that they are not taking risks. Determined, he sees this opportunity as too valuable to waste and decides that he will not lose. He decided not to hesitate. Estates approaches the teacher. Before speaking, she looks at him directly and asks if he needs. Surprised and a little tense, Esther reacts to the unexpected direct contact, is surprised by the sudden approach of the teacher. He is formally introduced as the fourth son of the Albion family and apologizes for the delay. The teacher recognizes that watching the training identifies him as the child who received the ability to tame. Nervous, Estates tries to make a request, calling her Ilna. With determination, Est asks Ilna to teach her the art of the sword, saying that she wants to get stronger. Iln explains that his skill Omar is not made for combat, and that without the skill of the swordsman, he will not handle his training. Still, he insists, making it clear that he really wants to be strong. Ilna watches the determination of the permanent in silence, and after thinking, agrees to start training. Without wasting time, she quickly moves forward, launching an attack that Stan can react to, soon showing the difference in the levels. Ilna attacks with speed and precision, challenging Estates to prove that she deserves training. With a firm look, she demands that he prove why he deserves to be trained. Surprised and pressured, Est prepares to face the challenge that will define his future as a swordsman. Elena attacks with strength and speed, putting pressure on Esti, demanding that she prove her worth with her bare hands. Estates feels the weight and speed of the blows, struggles to resist and show determination. Fight to accompany the attacks of Ilna. Every blow is heavy and forces him to keep the guard all the time. Even notice that she is holding the rhythm. Estates knows that if he will hesitate, it will be easy. Determined, he continues to resist the intense shock. Even under pressure, Estates refuses to give up. He strives to put his foot down and learn something from every scam exchange. His posture and his spirit surprise Helena, who watches the effort with interest. The grief is still intense. Exhausted, this evil is found after several minutes in front of Ilna. The legs fail and he can no longer add strength. Ilna ends the training by saying that the fight is over. Broken and tired, Estates, with a determined look, asks how his performance was. After the training, Ilna says that this one is totally inexperienced, with minimal physical skills and clumsy techniques. Despite the criticism, she perceives something else and looks serious. Question: why do you want to feed so much? Surprised, hesitates to listen to the question. Ilna asks him if he lies, that he wants to beat the brothers or the teacher. Firm Sword replies that his true desire is to overcome his own destiny. The sincere answer surprises Ilna, who is alone in hers, admired by the boy's determination. Ilna decides to give a moral to Rest, and after training her brothers, she will give a quick fencing lesson, only 30 minutes. On the condition that she will not accept mulch. Surprised and touched, the Rest accepts at that moment, all excited, thanking so much for the possibility that he wanted so much. Smiling, Ilna gives him a wooden sword and says that, first of all, he has to learn how to keep himself well. She marks the next meeting for a month after and tells him to train there. Grateful for the opportunity, the rest are grateful for the steadfastness. 2 months have passed, and today is the third training session with Ilna. Decided, he advances with the wooden sword, watching the master's quick and precise strokes. The progress is clear and the training is still heavy. During the training, Ratch attacks with everything, but Ilna easily disarms him. With a firm look, she presses, asking what you're having. Sweating and focused, the goal is in total concentration, without giving up the fight. Ilna notices that Est's movements are becoming a bit repetitive, and with a confident smile, she warns that he will make a thrust attack. Watch out. The rest are preparing to react to the blow that is about to come. The training is still intense, testing their reflexes and learning. At the moment of the attack, Est surprises Helena with a quick and unexpected reaction, intercepting the blow and the counterattack with a correct movement. The impressed teacher recognizes the student's progress and effort during the fight. Ilna realizes that he tried to pretend, but thinks that his choice not to attack from the front was a mistake. He admits that, although trying to surprise, he would not shoot against someone like Ilna. Confident, he thinks about using his own skill to turn the game. Has prepares a special blow, an essential technique in the Symphony of the Sword and Sorcery game. Thanks to a great training with Ilna, she managed to master one of these skills. Now ready to push his own limits, Ratch wants to surprise the master with a decisive blow. Make a special attack. A unique movement that increases the speed and strength of the sword. It is the typical skill of a swordsman, which he mastered after a lot of training. Ilna watches attentively, surprised by the student's progress. Rest sends a lightning strike. Fast and powerful. The technique surprises Ilna, who reacts, and is surprised to see that the student's ability is demonstrated with such precision and strength. After being defeated, the rest regret that he is still far from Helena's level, despite the intense training of the last 2 months. Even frustrated, Surprise recognizes his impressive progress. Even with little practice time, he is up to the level of his brothers, who have been training for 6 months now. Ilna reflects on Esti's performance. She acknowledges that the lightning technique she usually used would take a year of training. Even for an experienced warrior, for someone who is not combat, like him, mastering the skill in such a short time shows extraordinary effort, as well as talent and determination. Ilna is impressed to see that he has managed to master such an advanced technique in just 2 months. Surprised for the progress, she begins to think that she may have underestimated her potential. Meanwhile, he confidently resides it, prepares to continue training, asking to start again. Observing Rafe's confident posture, Ilna believes that he may be facing an unusual talent, far beyond what she imagined. He realizes that he is helping to cut a real Horia, someone with an impressive potential, to become a great warrior. The rest of Well reflects on his situation. Reincarnated as a noble villain in the Symphony of the Sword and the Magic game, he knows that his original destiny was to die in the middle of the story. To change this future, he decides to use all his knowledge of the game and wants to become the strongest, determined to survive and escape from the tragic fate. Thanks to Elna's teachings, more than 3.5 months, the rest became stronger and stronger. Until now. Everything went well. And now he plans to avoid the protagonist and any characters that may become an enemy to ensure survival in the game world. During an announcement from his father, Rache is alert to hear that Princess Charlotte, one of the main heroines of the game, and the second princess of the Kingdom of Finari, will be staying at his house. Recognizing the name, he realizes that her presence may disturb his plans to avoid important characters in the Charlotte Bond finale. The princess introduces herself to the rest and poses a great danger as a sign of death walk. Knowing her crucial role in the story and the events that may lead to her death, he realizes that living with her will bring risks that he wants to avoid at all costs. Remember that in the game Charlotte was described as the perfect princess. Honest people, good with everyone, curious and what happened to anyone. In addition, he had a strong sense of justice and trained directly to protect his people. Blessing of rare talent. All this made her a central character, and 4 estates, a gigantic source at risk. Remember that precisely because he is such a fair and good people, Charlotte was not indifferent to the villain who would be in the story. In the game, he prevented Rache from continuing on the path to destruction in the middle of the plot, he joined the protagonist to confront him. This makes her a direct threat to their survival plans. The rest remember that in the game, he and Charlotte should not have a connection at this point in the story. But after he heard that she would meet him he suspects. In the game, he had been killed by a demon warrior after fighting Charlotte and the protagonist. Now he discovers that Charlotte has heard rumors about a swing prodigy from the House of Albion. And he asked himself to know personally, dangerously altering the course of the story. The rest is surprised to realize that he has a connection between Ilna and Charlotte, something that was not shot in the game. Lively comments on the board confirm the princess's interest in swashbuckling Tarantino. Talented. Ilna trains the rest and understands that the reason for the change in the script of the game was his decision to train with her, which caught Charlotte's attention and changed the course of the story. Estates concludes that the swords of the same generation that have piqued Charlotte's interest can only be him. Even her siblings thinking they may have been praised, Estates knows she has no chance of being the ones Ilna was talking about. 2 weeks later, on the day of Charlotte's visit, Est gets ready, knowing that the situation may directly affect your future. The day of the visit arrives, and Mita, worried, does not want to cross it with her, knowing that this can cause a dangerous death flag. But you can't just get lost without permission, trying to avoid the situation. The brothers tease him, saying that the princess is certainly not interested in someone like him, and that she is there only for them. Taking hello? The rest thanks the brothers for sarcastically keeping him away from the reception. Thinking about how to spend time while Charlotte is at the castle, she decides that it is a good opportunity to train. It reflects that, in order to fully explore the ability to tame, you need to defeat monsters and turn them into subordinates. Even with only a fucking sword in her hand, Hestia is preparing for this new phase of the plan. Consider exploring the Arst Forest, the monster habitat within the territory of the Albion family. Ideal for training the ability to tame. However, entry is strictly prohibited until registration at the Royal Academy. Realizing that standing out now can give a problem, he decides to postpone the plan for now. As the rest of them walk away, the reception rolls with Charlotte. The princess is received with very courtesy and brightness, generally impressing with presence and beauty. Godalvi thanks him for his visit, and comments on a new skill he recently achieved, the Princess of the Sacred Sword. The delighted Rest brothers do not hide their admiration for Charlotte, who seems elegant and friendly. During the conversation, Charlotte asks to see the sword skills of the Brothers of Repose. The proud twins believe that they will impress the princess and show all enthusiasm. Gat, surprised but satisfied, tells them to take Charlotte to the training camp. In the meantime, watch this carefully. Realizing that the presence of someone with an ability as powerful as the Holy Sword Princess can move even more with the course of history, Estates Brothers shows animated sword skills, making quick and synchronized attacks. Charlotte calmly observes, assessing that, despite having skill for more than 6 months, the level shown is not very impressive for her. The lady of the princess's company asks her opinion, which receives a care, but without surprise. The siblings of the rest realize Charlotte's small impression with the fencing demonstration. To try to keep the interest of the princess, one of the brothers suggests to show skills in a real combat against the monsters. Charlotte is surprised by the proposal of real combat, while the brother explains that they intend to go to the forest of Ars to fight real monsters. Believing that this would be more worthy of impressing her, trying to impress Charlotte, the brothers guarantee that they know the Ars forest well, despite the fact that the first time they go there. One of them comments that, since his father asked to win, the princess's favor would allow this. So Charlotte, after exchanging a glance with her maid, accepts the proposal, and says she will count on them. Excited, the brothers make a firm commitment to protect him. The group had already advanced through the Arst forest. Charlotte keeps an eye on the environment, with a close look and a small sign of concern, while everyone keeps silent. The tension increases as they get deeper into that probing territory. Charlotte comments that the forest is darker than she expected, while the twins try to reassure her. She takes the opportunity to ask if another member of the Albion family, that should be about her age, would not come either. The question catches them by surprise, and the brothers have no answer at that moment. The twins explain to Charlotte that Est didn't come because he thought he couldn't meet his father's expectations. They say Estates has the ability TAME, and since Charlotte was interested in the swordsman of the same generation, he would not be someone who caught her attention. Charlotte is thoughtful. To think it even makes sense, but his lady-in-waiting notices his sudden interest in listening to this one's skill. The group, The wolves advance quickly, taking one of the youngsters by surprise, who loses his balance. After defeating the wolves, the group takes a deep breath. A girl comments that the enemies were not as impressive as she expected. Maid warns that the wind has changed and that the situation is becoming strange. He recommends that the general return and suggests that the young woman quickly return to her safety. As the group prepares to retreat, one of the brothers insists on continuing and showing off his skills. He tries to convince others, but a powerful roar interrupts the conversation. The girls step out of the way to notice the new threat approaching. A giant and menacing wolf appears in front of the group, leaving everyone on alert. The girls recognize the creature as a Gallic wolf, a very dangerous sea monster. The tense atmosphere increases as they perceive the gravity of the situation. The Gallia dust fiercely attacks the group. The young people try to swerve, but one is beaten and thrown out of the way. The tension grows as others try to react to the creature's crushing force. Maid decides to hold the monster, ordering the hands to carry the young woman to a safe place. After a moment of hesitation, they agree and begin to run away, taking the girl with them, while the situation is critical. As the group tries to escape, an even bigger wolf appears blocking the passage. The girl tells everyone to get ready to fight back. Surprised by the appearance of an even stronger enemy, the brothers position themselves to face the new threat. Mogo quickly advances, causing the brothers to panic. One tries to attack with the sword, but the monster easily deflects the blow. Shocked and terrified, they realize that there are no chances against this creature. In the critical situation, the young woman sees one of the snails and decides to act. Determined, lapses the sword and attacks. Ready to face the wolf alone. With a cry of courage, she passes over the beast. The young woman tries to resist, trusting that Stell will arrive soon to help. Meanwhile, the wolf is advancing aggressively. She tries to defend herself with all her strength, but is surprised by the creature's quick attack. The young woman realizes that the wolf also uses Aeolian magic. Even under pressure, she does not give up. After being disarmed, she joins the forces and begins casting the sacred magic, determined to continue fighting the creature. Trying to finish the spell, he realizes that he will not get it in time. The wolf attacks at high speed, leaving him vulnerable and in imminent danger. She fears that this will be her end. At the critical moment, a mysterious young man appears who intercepts the wolf's attack. Surprised, the girl looks at the stranger protecting her. The wolf also becomes aware of the new presence. Impressed, she asks him who he is. With a calm look, the mysterious young man replies that he is just a simple ordinary pin. Make the mood even more mysterious. In the midst of a tense situation, moments before the fuck, the mysterious young man sees Charlotte, her guard Stell, and the group Edward walking together. Curious about their destination, he is discreetly, and is surprised to discover that they are going to the Arst Forest, a dangerous place. The young man watches the group enter the forbidden forest and suspects that the twins are trying to impress Charlotte. Although the monsters in the area are usually low level, he fears that finding a stronger creature could put his life at risk. Cautiously, he decides to follow them to ensure their safety. The young man confirms that the intuition was correct and arrives well in time to protect Charlotte from the wolf attack. After the immediate confusion, he reflects relieved, acknowledging that the situation could have ended in tragedy for his family if he had not acted in time. Charlotte asks who is the young man who saved her. Nervous and eager to hide his true identity, he presents himself as a simple commoner. Suspicious Charlotte finds it hard to believe that someone with such ability is ordinary. The young man says that they can talk later, and that now he should concentrate on the fight. Analyze the situation. Bold Gal, a serrated monster, controls wind magic, and would be a difficult opponent. As a maximum of 40% of the chances of victory, even so, he relies on prior knowledge of the game, and prepares to face the enemy. The young man moves nimbly, and attacks the Gal wolf, a monster, aware of his movements. Prepare an attack with your wind magic. The tension grows as the two face off, preparing for the decisive battle. The young man analyzes the struggle, moving with agility. The Golemovo shows varied attacks, and does not leave gaps even from afar. The monster is extremely powerful and balanced, both in attack and defense. Still, the young man keeps the focus, looking for an opportunity to convert the game, hits the Gal wolf accurately, confident. He reveals that he knows all the creature's attack patterns, thanks to the knowledge of the game. The monster, surprised, is beaten, and begins to show signs of weakness. Charlotte looks on impressed as the young man takes a swipe after a swipe at the Gale Wolf. She realizes that his physical and technical abilities do not seem superior to hers, but he can cope with the creature efficiently. Surprised, she wonders who she really is. After the events, Charlotte trains under the supervision of Lady Ilna, who praises her performance. Ilna says that she was afraid that Charlotte would be accommodated after gaining the ability of the Holy Sword Princess. But she feels calm seeing her effort. Determined, Charlotte declares that she does not intend to lose to anyone. Although he knows that there are people with superior sword or magic skills, Ladian explains that Charlotte's rivals are not only those who have high skills. There are people who even without special powers can achieve great strength with talent and effort. Charlotte acknowledges the lesson, remembering that Ilna had said that before. Lady Ilna comments on a child from Albion family, saying that he is fascinating, and the same age as Charlotte. Excited, suggests Charlotte could be motivated by knowing him. Surprisingly, Charlotte realizes that she has never seen Lady Anna talk about someone so enthusiastically before. Charlo reflects on what he heard, and concludes that the child of the Albion family of his age can only be Albion to them. The same young man who saved her. With that, he finally understands who he really is. Charlotte realizes that the young man who saved her is Lay Albion, known for receiving the useless ability called TAME, despite the fact that this is an extraordinary genius. Impressed, she understands that he is the same child that Lady Anna had talked about. The fight is still intense. The Ball Gal, although injured, is still firm before Lay. He realizes that he no longer has mana for using so much magic at the beginning of the fight. Still, he remains calm and continues to face the monster with determination. Lay decides that this is the right time to tighten the attack. However, the Gal Ball reacts and advances quickly. During the attack, Charlotte is hit and falls to the floor, alarming everyone. Lay and the girl watch the situation worriedly. Seeing Charlotte in danger, Lay does not hesitate. With a determined cry, he advances on the Gallic wolf, bearing a direct blow at the creature. With courage and precision, she fights to protect Charlotte at any cost. Read the full force and deliver a powerful final blow. An intense light appears on impact, reaching the Gal wolf directly. The energy explosion involves the creature, which indicates a decisive attack. The coup is successful. Mobo Gal falls to the floor defeated, his body scarred by the attack. He calmly observes the outcome of the battle, showing control and confidence. After defeating the dreaded and panting monster, he declares his victory to them. Charlotte, relieved and surprised, congratulates him on the feat. He confirms with a smile, but soon reflects that it is still early to celebrate, because he knows that more challenges may appear. The wolf from the window, and defeated at his feet. It keeps them looking firm and determined. He recognizes that, as a bearer of such an ability to tame, that everyone finds him useless. Your real challenge is starting, the fight that really matters is still to come. After the victory, Charlotte thanks him for saving her, asks if she is good. And she confirms, calling him Sam Leist, which surprises him. Curious, he asks how she knows his name, while other members of the group return there. Charlotte explains that he recognized him because of the wooden sword he has, as well as what she earned from his law. And there she introduces herself as the second princess of the Kingdom of the End. She reveals that they have the same sword master and grateful. He sincerely expresses his admiration and thanks for his protection. Lay, keeping calm, replies that it was natural to help, but he was already thinking about the possible consequences for his family. Charlotte smiles at Radiant and thanks again, respectfully calling him Tsar so that he will not be surprised and shocked by the sincerity of the princess, so that he will not continue to seem silent, unable to disguise amazement. He asks Charlotte to take care of the other's wounds while he checks on the Wind Wolf's condition. She accepts on time. Loss walks away and finds the monster still alive, injured and weak, hidden in the bushes. He watches everything in silence, analyzing the situation. He thinks that now everything depends on the will of the creature to serve him. A message comes up. The wolf is interested in him, recognizing him as the warrior who defeated him. The opportunity to subdue and tame the monster appears. Excited, Le realizes that he has the opportunity to tame the Wind Wolf. Convinced, he approaches a confident smile, calling the monster by name. The moment is decisive, and Le is determined to transform this fierce enemy into an ally. He arrives firmly and plays the wolf, asking him to turn the first monster he dominates. The beast, now submissive and injured, releases a low growl that shows acceptance and respect for the new master. The domination is successfully completed. A message appears saying that part of the tamed monster's power will be received by them. As a result, he acquires the magical ability of the wind, further expanding their skills. Lei celebrates the success of the domination. In addition to the wind magic, he also gains the dimensional resonance skill. As a reward for the first successful handling, feel the magic power flowing through the body. Excited about the new possibilities you now have. The ability to tame duels is not only to subjugate monsters, but also allows him to take the powers of the creatures he dominates. All tamed monsters increase physical abilities, and if they have unique abilities, such as Wind Wolf magic, Blast can use these abilities as well. He reflects on the past in the game. When you lost everything because you are overwhelmed by power. Now, determined to follow in a different way, he values training and effort. With each monster he subjugates, he will get stronger. Convinced, Lei believes that with this skill, he can become the strongest in the world. He decides to give a simpler name to the Wind Wolf. Thinking a little, he chooses General, taking a part of the original name. The wolf approves with an animated growl. Lei asks the general to stay hidden for now. While planning to test the new ability, he tests dimensional resonance by creating a portal that reveals a large alternate space. Satisfied with the result, he prepares the general to hide inside. But before you finish, someone catches my lady, calling your eye. Estella runs to Charlotte, relieved to see that she is okay. Charlotte explains that a second wind wolf, but managed to scare. Surprise! Estella asks if Charlotte fought, or if someone protected her. Others are surprised by the presence of another monster. Estella is relieved that Charlotte is okay, but Charlotte clarifies that she was not the one who scared the monster. She points to Alesh, saying that it was he who protected her. Estella, surprise, asks who it is. Charlotte introduces Alesh as a member of the Albion family, and firmly states that he saved her. Estella thinks, surprise, that Lei defeated the Wind Wolf faster than he could. Charlotte confirms that she saw everything with her own eyes. Then he comments that he thought Law only had the ability to tame, and with a smile, asks her to confirm in front of everyone. He answers them well that the battle was difficult, but he managed to get the wolf out of the wind. He reassures Estella by calling her Miss Estella, which surprises her. She thanks and proposes to thank the right later, but realizes that she has not even introduced herself. Curious, she asks how he knew her name, leaving them a little uncomfortable. Charlotte explains that Lei probably heard her name called before, resolving the situation. Relieved, Lei believes he needs to be smarter when it comes to characters in the game. Stella thanks him again for protecting Charlotte. The group decides to leave the forest, and Charlotte confirms that she can move now. Charlotte justifies that she must have heard their name before, and Estella accepts the explanation, relieved. Lei believes that he should be more careful when dealing with game characters in the future. Estella sincerely thank you for protecting Charlotte. Deciding to leave the forest, the group gets organized and Charlotte confirms that it is okay to continue. The group returns to the mansion, where the servants greet him with concern. He takes one of the injured young men to them, and asks Charlotte and her brother for urgent attention. Hearing that Charlotte is injured, the butler is alarmed, and has potions, towels and water. He asks his brother to be treated first, showing concern and priority. Seeing the injured, Les's father enters the furious room, demanding explanations. He asks if Lei was responsible for the situation, and suspicious, he wants to know why he only got out unharmed. Surprised and nervous, he tries to defend them, saying that he did nothing wrong. The tension in the room increases. Charlotte intervenes that Lei was not lost, on the contrary, he saved her life. Surprised, Lesla's father listens. Estella also speaks, asking for a formal explanation, and saying that Edward Seabat took them to the forest, where they found 2 sea-level wolves, causing all the confusion. Estella confronts the marquis, asking if he really allows children to enter such a dangerous forest. Outraged, he says that he would never authorize this and would believe that the children went without permission. Estella accepts the explanation, but emphasizes that, since Charlotte was exposed to danger, it is her responsibility as the head of the house, leaving Marquis visibly uncomfortable. Charlotte, with a diplomatic stance, does not want to blame him at Casamaris. Acknowledging that they relied too much on the words of the brothers, she emphasizes that Saul defeated a winged wolf and saved his life. Surprised, the Marquis accepts his words to put an end to the matter. With regard to the lay, Charlotte proposes to consider the case closed. The Marquis, surprised to learn that he defeated a winged wolf on his own, is speechless. Charlotte then asks to be taken to a place to rest before leaving. She talks to Lay and says she would like to see him again later. Surprised, he agrees. The nervous Marquis accompanies Charlotte and Ostella as they leave the room. After Charlotte leaves, the Marquis is incredulous, refusing to accept that his useless son even defeated a winged wolf, trying to be convinced that this is impossible. She looked at him in silence, aware of her father's distrust. At night, Charlotte and her companions end up at the mansion. They get restless, can't sleep, and decide that maybe a night workout was good. When he comes out of the garden, he is surprised by Charlotte, who calls him while looking at the sky. Lay finds Charlotte on the porch and greets her. She comments that it is a coincidence to see him so late, and with a smile asks if he would agree to talk a little. Surprised, he accepts the invitation in the good. Charlotte thanks you again, saying that she could have lost her life without your help. He replies that he is happy to see her safe. Charlotte, smiling, says that she is a very kind person. Admired, and perhaps it is precisely because he developed such an impressive skill. Praising the courage and skill he showed in defeating the winged wolf alone, he attributes the success of the fight to Charlotte's efforts, saying that he had already weakened the wolf before arriving. Charlotte smiles and admits that the incident made her realize how much she has to learn. Reflecting on this, she says she made a decision, determined to move on and continue to improve. Charlotte, with a serious tone, begins to talk about the is. And the weather changes, leaving Lay surprised and nervous when he says that if you are willing. He quickly thinks that she is about to propose to him, being even more baffled. The unexpected situation leaves Charlotte real when she asks him to make her a rival and ally sword companion at the same time. Someone with whom she can compete and evolve. At first, Lay gets a little lost, trying to understand what it is. Then Charlotte explains that she is someone who also runs well with the sword, and who shares the same ideal of improvement. Relieved, he understands them proposal. Charlotte confesses that until now her only goal was to reach the Lady Helena, but the difference in strength between them is giant. To see that he is the same age, and he is already one step ahead. He realizes that a lot of training could evolve with him. With that in mind, he asks for excitement to change his sword partner, someone to gather new heights. Even half reluctant to get too involved with the main characters in the game, Lay, in the face of Charlotte's insistence and animation, accepts the request. He says that he is in his pile, leaving Charlotte all radiant and happy, who celebrates the Ibli calling him Saint 3. Happy with the new partnership, Charlotte asks Lay to call her Charo, who wants to put aside this formality. Lay, half embarrassed by the difference in status. She realizes that El Charo is stubborn when he decides something, and he sees her insistently, stumbles and calls her that, which makes Charlotte happy. Smiling, he tells them that he is also eager to trample with her. Charlotte, all excited, says she's crazy about this new partnership with Lay. He realizes that despite his request to put aside formalities, she still calls him Sarlis, finding the situation amusing. They keep exchanging ideas about the starry sky. In the morning, Charlotte says goodbye to Lay with an open smile, saying that she is crazy to enjoy future activities as sword partners. The Lay, keeping polite, replies that he will wait for her to return at any time from his side. The Marquis also formally speaks that it will be an honor to receive her again. The next morning, Charlotte leaves for the capital. Meanwhile, the Marquis explodes in anger. He was responsible for saving the princess. He accuses the two twins of almost destroying the Albion family with their irresponsibility. Marquis' wife tries to intervene, but he remains outraged, not understanding the gravity of what they did. The wife tries to justify by saying that the twins just wanted to impress Princess Charlotte, but the Marquis becomes boring, accusing them of having caused the princess's interest in the Lay, that he considers a useless child. The Lay, confused, do not understand what the Marquis means in a responsible way. The twins try to justify that they have cheated on the princess, taking advantage of the confusion to appear as a hero. And they claim that they weakened the gal wolf before he passed out. The irritated wife recalls that Charlotte said that she saw everything with her own eyes. But twins insist it was a misunderstanding, and that Lei should not be forgiven. He observes everything in silence, without reacting. The marquis believes in twins, and thinks that everything makes sense now. He surprises them, thinks they are idiots, and would not act like true nobles. He remembers that Edward and the others actually attacked the gallant wolf, but with weak attacks and causing no real damage. He firmly states to them that he was the one who defeated the Volgale, but his father calls him a fool, and tells him to know his place. Still, he insists to them that he is telling the truth. The irritated father challenges Alexa to prove the story. And he accepts without hesitation. The father imposes a challenge on them. He has to defeat Edward Sid at the same time, in a duel. The man says that if Lei managed to deal with something that neither Edward nor the others have managed, then winning this duel should be easy. Listen to the proposal that already understands what is happening. He understands that the intention of the challenge is to expose him as a liar. Edward and Sid pretend that the fight will be fair, but they see it as an opportunity to humiliate the Lei. He acknowledges to them that both of them have real strength, and that fighting both of them would usually be impossible. But with what he conquered recently, the scenario has changed. After gaining a new power by mastering Gamal, the young man with a cold expression is completely transformed. The logic that once limited is no longer valid. With renewed confidence and a defiant look, he accepts the proposed duel, making it clear that he is ready for any stop. Finding the challenge, the young man faces opponents with unshakable confidence. With a cold and determined smile, she accepts the struggle without hesitation. The tension increases as the crowd realizes the commotion that is about to roll, surprised by the audacity of the situation. Just after the tension grows, a confident woman appears in front of the crowd with a firm posture and a determined smile, taking on the role of official witness of the duel, leaving the stop even more serious and pompous. The sudden arrival of a respected figure surprises that everyone present. Moved by an urgent message about an attack involving his students, he interrupts his commitments to verify the situation in person. His sense of responsibility and preparation shows a bond that he maintains with the students, making it clear that he does not tolerate threats against them. The teacher reveals that, in addition to the 2 official students, she has been giving private instructions to a third at special request. Surprise takes over the others when they realize that he is also considered their disciple. That is why she reaffirms her position as a witness to the duel, now legitimized by the link with the 3 involved. Amid the general surprise, the teacher explains that the guidance for the new student was minimal and for personal reasons, but declares that he does not think it only justifies his ability to face the 2 most experienced disciples. His words indicate the existence of exceptional power, or talent, that goes beyond training. Conventional determined to understand the source of the young man's confidence, the instructor decides to follow the duel personally. The request is respectfully accepted and the weather warms up. In thought, the young man admits that a month ago he would have no chance against the opponents, confirming the master's words, and revealing how much he has evolved in a short time. Confident in his own growth, he reflects that the teacher has always been aware of him, and knows that he should not meet without any reason. That is why Ilna seems to him firmly and throws a direct challenge. If his words are true, he must prove. With a piercing gaze, she demands that he reveal the truth behind her strength. With a determined look, the young man responds respectfully to the teacher, accepting the challenge. Imposed the wooden sword he received from her, a symbol of bonding and learning. The others, realizing this detail, recognize that he is really a direct disciple of her. It only increases the tension of the struggle that is about to happen. Even facing the disadvantage of fighting 2 guys with real weapons, the young man remains firm and accepts the challenge without blinking. He reveals that his confidence comes from the newly released power after taming the Garel, a power that increased his physical abilities, and gave mastery over wind magic. Convinced, he is ready to prove that his strength is now real. Although the power to tame creatures and the magic of the wind, the young man decides to hide this strength and bet on a card up his sleeve. With a smile, he maintains his true asset. At the sign of the master, the duel begins. Opponents move forward aggressively, while remaining calm, prepared to show their real skill. The duel begins with explosive speed, one of the ferocious brothers, confident that he can defeat his rival alone. The young man recognizes the speed, but he is not intimidated. With agile and precise movements, he surprises with an impeccable defense, leaving the attacker confused for a moment. With skill and speed shown. In response, the second brother comes into full force, determined to end the fight with a devastating blow, intensifying the pressure on the opponent. With a brutal attack, he tries to crush the young man's defense, mocking the idea of a wooden sword against a steel blade. Confident, the young man blocks the attack without hesitation. In her eyes, a mysterious smile appears. What seems crazy to others is it's time to reveal the true asset. The commotion of the swords resounds on the duel field, against all expectations. The wooden sword stops the wooden sword, the opponent surprised. He screams incredulously in the face of the impossible. The young man, in turn, smiles, confident. Your asset is finally starting to show up with that "who knows you are in front" smile. The boy reveals the secret behind his amazing defense. A technique called Mafio, which is based on mana control, consists of channeling magical energy to the smallest spaces of an object, greatly increasing its durability. Already draws the limitation of the opponent, who did not even have basic training. Which implies that a mastery of this level does not take into account the type. The young man reflects that the Mafio technique is not new to him, it was already part of the training, in a game, where it was a common combat skill. But to really dominate, you need a lot of mana reserve and refined control. He then set about improving his mana manipulation. Develop a firm technique that now gives a real advantage in the duel. Thanks to the pact with Gerald, the boy had a drastic increase in mana capacity. This made it possible to apply advanced techniques in real combat. Now, with the expanded energy and abilities, he finally releases the potential he had been cultivating. The opponent, well taken to the unexpected force, can hardly understand what he is facing. During the fight, the young man uses a body reinforcement technique, an ability that increases physical strength too much. By flooding the body with mana, even using an inferior weapon, he surpasses the opponent in impact speed. The surprised opponent realizes that despite having an advantage in equipment and brute force, it is being transmitted only with a technique and pure control. Surprised, the brothers retreat, not understanding how he got them so much strength. Although he is smaller, and with a seemingly inferior weapon, he dominated the combat with impressive accuracy and strength. While doubt and fear grow in the face of opponents, Lei, calm and determined, prepares for the next decisive move. With a sharp look and a confident posture, he declares to them that now it's their turn. Serenity turns into attack. She goes with precision and strength, assuming full control of the fight. The impact makes the guys surprised. The tide has turned, and now dictates the pace of the battle. He dominates the duel and launches an aggressive and precise counterattack. His blows break the enemy defense, forcing them to retreat. In some moves, he imposes the rhythm and hits a strong opponent, leaving the other caliber and in the hurry to react. Lei, cool and technical, analyzes the movements of the enemy, identifying flaws accurately, easily highlighting attacks and counterattacking efficiently, unmasking the wrong posture of the opponent. The difference in the domain between them is to become more and more clear. He keeps them in total control of the fight, attacking with speed and precision, still causing the guys. The crowd watches in disbelief, without understanding how someone with this basic affinity can move and fight with such skill. The impact of your presentation stirs up everyone's expectations, even your teacher. The growth of the S in the last month seems like something from another world. There is something inside him that she can't even fully understand, but the fight is not over yet. Edward decides, despite the pressure, he still keeps his real weapons hidden, waiting for the right moment to convert the game. The teacher observes silence, reflecting on the dangers of hidden skills. Forces capable of reversing battles in an instant. Lei understands that knocking out would be simpler, but insufficient to prove his worth, to show who is the strongest. He decides to win without a doubt, forcing the opponents to give up not only power, but out of absolute conviction. The brothers finally reveal their hidden abilities, activating powerful synchronized techniques. The atmosphere changes on the spot, signaling the beginning of the fierce counterattack. They realize the seriousness of the moment. Your opponents now fight with everything. He notices the difference between himself and his brothers, who now use customized abilities and full strength. His speed and power are not a pair in direct confrontation. With few options, he recognizes that the current technique will not be handled. Under pressure, he decides to use a feature he didn't want to release anytime soon. Squeezed by the disadvantage, it activates their exclusive ability. Using wind magic, surround the blade with sharp air chains, turning his sword into a supreme court pistol. He is preparing to change the course of the battle with his most lethal technique. Lei releases his exclusive technique with surgical precision. In a single move, he advances against the brothers, who are trying to react with the combined force. But the cut is so fast and clean that the impact seems to occur before it is perceived. A momentary silence dominates the field. The result is about to appear. The brothers are shocked to see that their swords were cut with a single blow. Without understanding what happened, they see that the fragments of the weapons fall to the floor. The technique proves to them to be devastating, clear, precise, and undeniably superior. The crowd looks on in disbelief at what has just happened. Lei, with a wooden sword, cuts the steel as if it were paper. The demonstration of power shakes the brothers, who is now facing not only imminent defeat but also fear. The difference between them and them is clear and insurmountable. Faced with the impact of the blow, he looks at the brothers and challenges them to continue. Even though they know they have no chance, silence and fear dominate the environment until the teacher ends the duel firmly. The result is clear and the lesson is definitive. With Edward Zip's surrender, Lei is declared the winner of the duel. While discreetly celebrating the victory, the gifts react with surprise and indignation. For some, defeat is unacceptable, especially coming from someone previously seen as inferior. But for the general, the talent and strength of the S are now unquestionable. With the result confirmed, the current authority asks if the result will be accepted. Reluctantly and visibly frustrated, the teacher recognizes the victory of the S, despite the internal resistance. She has no choice but to admit the superiority of the child that everyone has underestimated. After the confirmation of the victory, the defeated brothers turn to the father in despair. But they are ignored. Loss, even injured, maintains a firm stance. The teacher congratulates him, recognizing himself despite trusting in the child's potential. He was surprised by the result. Proudly, she confirms that he showed dignity and strength worthy of training. With a smile, the teacher praises Ailes for the victory and comments that the event can serve as a lesson for the other two. But he also reveals that he realized that others did not notice, including the subtle use of magic in the final blow. The law is surprised by his perception, recognizing that the admired seems attentive to those who know him deeply. After the battle, the teacher approaches Lei with a subtle question. He noticed a brief hesitation before the final blow, and asks if he considered any alternatives to destroy the opponent's weapons. Surprised by their perception, he admits to them that there were other options, and they could have won without using the most advanced technique. Lei analyzes the situation in the log and recognizes that he could have redirected the brothers' attacks without destroying the weapons. But totally blocking their techniques would be risky. This approach could cause confusion between the two and perhaps make them attack, something he considered unacceptable. Even with alternatives, each one had its consequences. Lees concludes that the alternative to redirecting the attacks, although feasible, would bring problems. Opponents could not recognize their strength or even seriously injured. To avoid conflicts and future complaints, he chose to destroy the weapons with his special technique. In the end, he acknowledges that the teacher realized everything, nothing escaped his eyes. After all, he humbly admits to them that he is still far from reaching the level of the master. Ilna smiles, amused by his sincerity, and proudly confirms that this is normal. After all, she is his instructor. The moment seals the mutual respect between the teacher and the disciple. With an affectionate gesture, Ilna ruins the lost hair, reaffirming his role as a teacher. Surprised and a little shy, he accepts the affectionate gesture. A light and relaxed moment dissolves the grieving tension with genuine smiles and laughter. After the victory, he guarantees them their place in the Albion family. At his dimensional residence, he prepares to thank Gerald, an essential creature, for his ascension. By calling him, the imposing ally seems ready to answer the master's call. Gerald tries to get into the cramped room, causing a bit of confusion. Lei is excited by the enthusiasm of the creature, and then relents, promising that she will go to him. Exhausted but smiling, he goes out where his partner is quietly waiting. Knowing that he has fulfilled his role well, he thanks Gerald with a sincere hug. Recognizing the essential role of the beast in his victory, although satisfied with the outcome of the duel, he knows that he needs to look forward. The strength he showed today was just the beginning. The future will charge even more. After reflecting on the battle and the next steps, Lost discovers a crucial limitation that he has already achieved. It's already at the maximum limit of the creatures you can control. To move forward and really grow, you need to overcome this bottleneck and expand its boundaries. While resting by Gerald's side, Law realizes that, despite the power of the tamed monster's technique, she has restrictions that require continuous evolution. Remember that in the game, he could only control up to 5 creatures. What made him strong but vulnerable if the allies lost was the worst. Now he draws that he needs to balance the strengthening of monsters with his own evolution. Loss admits that in order not to repeat the mistakes of the past, he has to evolve on his own. Even if night training helps defeat the monsters, monsters are essential to get a real experience to analyze their progress. He points out that the tamed general, his strength approached the level of a D-rank warrior. Even being officially rank C thinks about the desire she has to face the monsters in the forest. But you know that the current situation does not allow it. Even so, he already has in his head what the next domesticated target will be, and shows a sinister determination. By choosing this being as his next partner, they stand out surprises by defeating Edward Seed in a duel, even though they are fewer. Using advanced techniques and precise mana control, neutralize the brothers' attacks without hurting them. Prefer to destroy their weapons. After the victory, he is recognized as a winner, gaining respect and prominence in the Albion house. Then the laws are reflected in the next steps, determined to increase their power and abilities, to face a new and mysterious monster hidden in the forest of Augusto. 3 months earlier, during the Divine Oracle ceremony, the logistician was tamed, which the traditional and famous family of Albion swords considered useless to fight. The patriarch saw this ability as an embarrassment, and took the logistician from the list of successors, making a formal declaration that disqualified him as heir to the house. The patriarch of the Albion family reflected on his rigid decision to reject his own son in order to assert his authority. But he exceeded all expectations, becoming a powerful warrior who can defeat a Gallic wolf and even attract the attention of a second princess. All this, the father is frustrated, questioning the course of things. Consumed by pride and fear, the patriarch fears that the emergence of the will stain his authority and expose the mistake of disinheriting him. Convinced that someone with the ability to tame does not deserve to lead the Albion family, he decides to act balls for a plan to destroy the prestige and name of the laws within the lineage at any cost. The patriarch believes that the real heir is his eldest son, a talented swordsman like himself. But the presence of laws, now favored by the princess, complicates his plans. Unable to expel him directly, he begins to look for an indirect way to remove him from the succession. Having an idea, he believes that he found the right method. Determined to get rid of the laws, the patriarch knows that he cannot attack him directly. So he plans to make his own laws put his face on the line. He even thinks about causing an irreparable injury and decides to use the recent confusion in the Alst forest as a trap to fulfill his cruel goal. The next morning, the Lace gets a well when he receives a direct order from his father to investigate the Ayla forest. Although he finds it strange, he recognizes the mission as a perfect opportunity to evolve his skills. He even suspects the intentions behind the sudden decision. The law of the law justifies the shipment by saying that it has an emergency, the unusual presence of gal wolves in shallow areas. Presenting the mission as recognition of the force of the laws, the boy remains suspicious, knowing the region well. Feeling that the argument is forced, and begins to suspect hidden intentions in the proposal, Lace's father reveals his cruel plan. Send him to the Alston Range or more live forest, much more dangerous than the wolf scale. Convinced that Loss will not survive, he intends to blame his son's arrogance for a possible death. Getting rid of him without dirty his own hands and keeping apparitions. Even knowing his father's true intentions, he ignores the risks. Seeing the permission to enter the forest of Alst as a unique opportunity to grow, she accepts the mission, determined to change the trap in her favor. Even when he notices his father's badge, his wounded pride forgets them, and he focuses on the goal. Ready to explore the Ostis forest, eager to grow more and prove his worth with his own strength. The Loss enter the Ost forest, specifically in the surface layer, the safest and lowest risk area. He recognizes that the monsters there are weak, but he becomes intelligent, knowing that dangerous creatures can appear out of nowhere. As in the past, the laws call the general firm his dimensional residence and prepare for the first battle with the companion. Despite the initial tension, he shows confidence and affection, remembering that the ability to tame not only controls monsters, but also strengthens both the tamer and the creature. United, they're both moving up the fight. During the fight, the lace reveals the true potential of the ability to tame. It not only strengthens the tamed monster as a general, but also increases as the power of tamer himself grows. Recognizing how unbalanced this skill is, he uses a wooden sword. Ideal for neutralizing creatures without killing, showing control and strategy, even in the middle of battle. In combat, they are shown to be in absolute control of the situation. Face the monsters with his wooden sword, and, when he needs it, he activates his special Matoika Zatasi technique to get additional cutting power. In the midst of rapid movements, he is surprised by an unexpected appearance in the vegetation. Forcing a quick reaction, Loss is surprised to see a firebird, a limp creature that comes out of the reach of his wooden sword. But he remains calm, seeing this as a perfect opportunity to train his wind magic with precision and confidence. It attacks, becoming a threat in a strategic challenge. The Laws cast their windshield magic, hitting the bird in the middle of the flight. But something unexpected happens. The attack triggers a mysterious reaction. Surprised, they are seen by a common energy that involves the enemy. Without understanding what's going on, he feels that his body is lighter and a pleasant energy flows inside him, realizing how satisfied that he first rose from the level, marking another step in his evolution as a tamer and warrior. He understands them why he hasn't gained general experience before. As he had not defeated him, he received no points. Now, after having finished the monsters correctly, he concludes that he has obtained experience points for the victories. He also finds that he gains experience from the monsters defeated by the general, which speeds up his progress. At the same time, he trains his Aeolian magic, which is difficult to practice at home, gradually increasing the level. Lace continues to rapidly grow in power, strengthening at an amazing speed. He and the general spend the week facing various powerful monsters in the Ostis forest. Even the strong ones appear. But no enemy can face them anymore. The Laws recognize that after a week of battle, the monsters of the surface layer do not offer more challenge or sufficient experience. Knowing that he has to explore the deepest layers to continue evolving, he thinks about advancing without permission. His superior warns that starting tomorrow, the young man will be sent to explore the deepest layers. Surprised, he believes that this happened due to his rapid progress in the surface layers. The superior confirms that the next areas will have stronger monsters and that he expects a lot. The young man accepts the new mission. The next morning, the young man and his companion can explore the intermediate layers, where the monsters range from the Kag rank, stronger than the surface layer. Even so, he faces the new sure enemies. Of course, they won't be a big challenge. The young man continues to face the monsters in the intermediate layers, and without realizing it, reaches the strength of the rank. Be grateful for the strongest enemies. Take the opportunity to gain more experience. After a week of steady progress, something unexpected appears in front of him. Suddenly, a powerful Cyclops, which seems to confront the young man and his companion. Excited by the challenge, he prepares to face the enemy, signaling the attack. The wolf next to him responds on the spot, ready for battle. The young man begins the attack against the Cyclops with a strong gust of wind, hitting the target, observing the monster's reaction. Quickly coordinates with the wolf, which advances and bites the Cyclops. The strategy works, leaving the enemy vulnerable. Meanwhile, the young man continues the attack synchronized with the wolf, taking advantage of the opening. He strikes with wind magic, breaking the defense of the Cyclops. The blow hits him hard, leaving the monster visibly injured and shaken. Cyclops, in desperation, prepares a special attack, a lightning bolt shot out of the eye. The young man recognizes the ability. Confident in knowing the execution time, he prepares to divert. The young man, instead of simply dodging the powerful blow, decides to face the radius head-on. Confident, he prepares a new wind spell, determined to test his strength against an enemy of Caboclo. The moment the Cyclops let the lightning bolt escape, he fires his magic to intercept. The young man sends the wind spell directly against the Cyclops' radius. And the shock between the attacks a giant explosion of energy. It has the impact on the race, while the Cyclops also plays to resist the force of magic. They both feel the pressure of that intense battle. The young man's attack with the wolf weakens the Cyclops, who screams in pain, and tries to protect himself, taking advantage of the gap. The young man advances with a direct blow, while the wolf releases a roar and prepares for a new attack to finish off the enemy. The wolf attacks with everything and gives a decisive blow to the Cyclops. That falls defeated and all wounded. The young man keeps an eye on the result of a help fight, pulling that they manage to pass the board successfully. After the victory, the young man praises the wolf for the tempo of time. Out of nowhere, he feels a different energy in the body. His level is increasing. A confirmation appears in front of him. He has reached a new level of power. After Ab, the young man's ability to tame monsters increases, freeing up space for another ally. Excited, he already has in mind which creature he wants to tame, in the depths of the Arst forest, even without permission to enter. He has doubts if he will. The young man sends the wolf to rest, because the next day they will face the most crusty adversary so far. Determined, it reveals the next goal. A legendary creature in the country. The monster he will try to tame is a